This week we're driving the 2021 Toyota Sienna. The Sienna was first introduced way back in 1997 and has been going strong ever since. This is the 2021, the fourth generation of the Sienna, and the design has changed quite a bit. We'll go into all of that. But I first want you guys to know that I am a family man. If you haven't seen any of my other reviews, I do have 4 kids, so we used to own a minivan. I am one of those that switched out of the minivan into a modern SUV. And what I think about the minivan market today, we just recently drove the all-new Chrysler Pacifica Pinnacle, which is probably one of the top competitors to this Sienna. So we'll talk about that and compare these a bit. But let's start off this review talking about the different trim levels that you can get in the Sienna today. So there is a lot of trims here in the Sienna. You have your base trim, which is the LE. Then you move up to the XLE. You have the XSE, and then you move into the limited trim. And then finally, an all-new trim for the 2021 is the Platinum trim, and that's what we have here. Another thing to recognize with the 2021 models, every trim is actually offered with the hybrid powertrain. So there is no gas and then hybrid options. All of them have the hybrid engine. We're going to dive into that in just a second, but that's definitely unique in the market, and I think puts the Sienna almost in its own category. But let's go ahead and take a look around this vehicle first. Let's take a look at the exterior design, and then we'll continue through some of the mechanical bits. All right, with the exterior design, let's first talk about the first thing I actually noticed and then read about on Toyota's website, that this thing definitely has a more crossover-like design, and that is on purpose. Toyota's tired of hearing people complain about the minivan styling and wanted to style this to look more bold, bigger, more crossover-like, and I think they succeeded in that. As a matter of fact, when I first walked up to this thing and first got in and drove it, I thought it was a lot bigger than it actually is. I thought this was bigger than the Chrysler Pacifica that we drove a few months back, but that assumption was incorrect. If you want to compare, the Pacifica has a full length of 204 inches and the Sienna is 203 inches. The wheelbase on similar lines is 121.6 inches on the Pacifica and 120.5 inches on the Sienna, so it's about an inch shorter. Same with the width and same with the height. It's all around about an inch shorter than the Pacifica, but my first impressions were that this was a bigger vehicle, and that all comes down to the design that they have here versus the design of the Pacifica, which is still a very smooth, modern minivan style, where this is made to look more crossover-like. That paint color here is the Celestial Silver Metallic paint. It looks pretty good here. Probably wouldn't be my choice if I was buying the vehicle, but I do like it. It helps all the creases and different design elements stand out. We do have those LED headlamps with a pretty unique shape. We have that front badge that is the hybrid badge. We have that front grille, which again reminds you of more of a crossover theme and looks much like Toyota's other crossover vehicles like the Highlander. Around the side we do have power folding mirrors that do power fold on lock. Really love that, thank you Toyota. We also have these 18-inch wheels that have this nice little etched pattern in them, look really good, running Bridgestone tires. You can see again that hybrid badge there on the side of the door. We do have the traditional sliding doors for a minivan. We have satin chrome roof rails with some crossbars up there, so you can definitely load up the roof. Around the back again, you can see that bigger, wider, bolder design. Those LED taillights with the nice little swoosh that goes into that rear fender. We have the Sienna badge across the back, an all-wheel drive badge because this is one of the all-wheel drive versions, that Platinum badge, and another hybrid badge here in the rear. And all in all, I do like the design of the Sienna. It does look like a Toyota kind of crossover vehicle with some minivan doors on it, which as a dad that carts around kids a lot, I do appreciate the styling. But let's jump away from the exterior design, start looking a little bit more of the vehicle. Since we're back here, let's start off with the hatch and the cargo volume here. So the hatch can be popped obviously from the key. You got a button on the inside, or you have a button here on the back of the hatch. This Platinum does have the power lifting hatch. And of course, it's a minivan. You have a ton of room back here. And to be specific, you're looking at 33.5 cubic feet for the cargo area. And unlike the exterior dimensions, that's actually bigger on interior than the Pacifica that we were talking about earlier. That Pacifica only has 32.3 cubic feet. So this has the slight edge there. If you fold the third row down behind the second row, you're looking at 75.2 cubic feet, and with the second and third row down, you're looking at 101 cubic feet of cargo volume. You do have a 120 volt, 150 watt power plug back here. Your actual vehicle battery is stored back here, so if you ever have to jump this thing off, it's not under the hood. Again, the overall package here is really good, and you could fit a ton back here. All right, guys, and with that, let's close this back up and let's go check out that hybrid powertrain under the hood. And under the hood, you can see that 2.5 liter engine matched up with 2 electric motors, producing 243 horsepower combined. And this is the standard setup that you'll get in all trims, which is still something that blows me away. I think that's a great thing. You can also see, like I said here, your battery is not under the hood, it's in the back. But of course, Toyota, more than any other manufacturer, is a dominant power with these hybrid powertrains. This is not a plug-in hybrid, it's only a hybrid, so you don't have to worry about plugging in and charging batteries. The battery power and electric motors just enhance what the gas engine is giving you, so you never have to worry about sitting there and charging this thing to get it going. But you do have an EV mode and different driving modes, which we'll get into as we drive the vehicle. It's all in all just a really good setup with no real compromises for having that hybrid powertrain, other than maybe a little bit more mechanical work. But these things are tried and proven, and you get good warranty, so I don't think you have much to worry about there. With that, let's close up the hood. Let's go ahead and take a look at the interior, starting with the rear seats. So you do have a swipe there, and it does give you a good indicator of where you need to kind of place your foot to swipe to open the door. Other than that, there is a button here that you can just tap and it'll close and open. The kids are used to pulling the handle for it to open, which is how it is in most minivans. You can still kind of do that, but sometimes it doesn't work as well as just pushing the button. Could have to do with the kids being a little bit more impatient and whatnot, but let's finally open it up and jump inside. So let's jump all the way into the back seats. All right, and as you can see, I'm a 6'1" adult. I do fit in the rear seats. Probably wouldn't fit 3 of me side by side, but this is a 7-passenger minivan, so you got 2 in the front, 2 here in the captain's chairs, and 3 here. You can get this with a bench to get an 8-passenger, but size-wise, it is pretty nice, and the seat can even move forward, and of course, tumble and push up for easy access out. And then of course I got a ton of room. We also do have our own little headphone hookups and volume control back here for the infotainment system, which we do have, and little screens for the windows, as well as a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A power charger back here. Of course, our own AC vents as well. Just as you would expect, it is a great place for the kids. We've had this thing packed full and kids had no problems back here. But some of the best seats in the house are these middle row seats, these captain's chairs. So let's move up a little bit and check these out. And much like back in the third row, these second row seats, space is not an issue. There's a ton of room, and this thing slides, I think it's 26 or 29 inches. So again, you can slide it up to give people in the back more room. and you can slide it way back, way back if you need the room yourself. And from back here we can get a better view. Here are your AC controls for the rear seats. These are heated seats. You have a nice drop down big screen for infotainment in the back seat. What we don't have is a DVD player in here, so you do have to hook up your own media, whether that be from an HDMI port or a USB port like a phone or something, which if I can scoot up again, I'll show you. We do have our own USB Type C and USB Type A charging ports right here that kind of integrates into this center console from the front. And then down below that is a 120 volt 1500 watt power charger and an HDMI port. And then cup holders. We do have a ton of cup holders, as you might assume. We do have two here, one in each door, one on the side here, two on each side in the back, and of course multiple cup holders in the front. Speaking of the front, let's move up there. Let's kick on the car, kick on some AC. I'll show you around the front, then we'll take it for a drive. All right guys, so we are here in the front. I do have it kicked on, the AC going. It's a bit humid out here in Texas. So let's continue through, but before we get into each individual little piece in here, overall this interior is really great. I do like these brown leather seats, perforated leather, matching stitching, the two-tone of the rest of the interior with the light tan. Just overall is a very premium and good look. But let me pick you guys up and give you a better look around. So like you might expect, there are a lot of nice features for the size of this vehicle. We have this nice little shelf up here, and that's like this nice wood. Moving further over is a wireless charger for your phone. Now, while I have found that it does charge and stay pretty well, if you do sharp turns or anything, it is a little rubbery, but your phone can slide around, especially if you have more sleek kind of case like I do on my phone. But if you have a more rubberized case, that definitely shouldn't be an issue. And then moving over further from that wireless charger, you do have a USB Type A connector for the infotainment, and this is the one that you want to connect if you want to have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. There are more USB ports in this vehicle, obviously, but this is the one to connect for your infotainment. Moving back from that, you do have a traditional gear shifter here, an automatic transmission. It's not an electronic shifter, it is the full gear shifter, and it's not mounted on the steering wheel or anything. You have your electronic parking brake here, your brake hold button for your EV mode, and your drive modes. We'll get into those as we drive this thing. You can see a couple of cup holders up here, and this has another little cubby for maybe a phone or something. I usually just keep mine in that cup here. And further back are two more cup holders with a little cover over them. Now these cup holders are much smaller and tighter. Even smaller cans of drinks barely fit or don't fit at all in this thing. And you have another little tray here that could be for a phone, but it doesn't hold it very tightly, so it will either slide around or get banged around a bit. So I don't know if that was the intention there, but it'd be nice if it was a little bit more rubberized and not so slick. Further back from that is your console area that is nice and deep, a ton of room in here. More USB Type C and USB Type A charger ports. Again, these only charge, they don't interface with the infotainment system. And then further back, the other ones that we already saw from sitting in the rear of this vehicle. And moving all the way back up from where we saw the tray and everything, this is your AC and heat controls here, including cooled seats and heated seats. And then your 7-inch touchscreen display, which is a pretty nice setup that you have. Like I said, it does run Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We do have navigation, and it's a decent sized screen, but I would say for this Platinum, I would have liked to see maybe even a larger screen. Not a huge deal. There are a lot of great vehicles that are even less expensive than this, but have a lot nicer of a screen. Speaking of nice screen, let's put it into reverse here. And I don't know how well this is going to translate on the camera and through YouTube, but either the screen or the cameras or both are not great quality here. It's very noticeable that they are pretty bad quality. It still gets the job done. You can see around the vehicle just fine. You do have guidelines as you turn the steering wheel for your reverse cam and 360 cam, but it is very noticeable that that is pretty poor quality cameras. But again, it does still get the job done. We also do have the 12 speaker JBL premium audio system in this vehicle, and it sounds pretty good. It didn't blow me away, but didn't have any real complaints either. Moving on to the steering wheel here, it is a nice steering wheel, leather wrapped. It's got the perforated leather there as well. Nice to grip, nice in the hands. It is a power retractable, power telescope and tilting steering wheel, which is a first for the Sienna. You see you got all your basic controls here, from your audio settings to your cruise settings, and to interface with your driver information display. And back here behind the steering wheel, you can see that driver information display that can be toggled through different pages. I normally like to just keep it on the fuel economy information. We do have 2 analog gauges. And of course, instead of an RPM gauge, you get this eco power and charge gauge, like you would with pretty much all the hybrids. But along with that driver information display, we also have a head-up display. And this is a 10-inch fully color head-up display, and it's pretty crisp and looks nice and gives you a lot of different information, including your lane keeping assist feature, which we'll talk more about as we drive. But before we do that, let's check out a few more features in here. First off, you can see here you have a button to engage that 360 camera. We also have a heated steering wheel. We have a toggle for the AC plug, your bright lights toggle, traction control. You can switch off the power rear door and a fuel cap pop. And then your standard buttons here are along the door. Under the console, you do have a huge shelf that you could store stuff, pass through from the driver to the passenger. There's a little accessory plug down there. A nice little way to just get that much more extra space and airiness into this while still maintaining a nice console for the driver. And I think that's about all we have to show around the interior. I'm sure there's stuff that I missed or more stuff that you want to see. If you do, leave those in the comments and I'll try to answer any questions that you have. But I think it's time to get this thing out on the road. All right, and as you can see, it is a very quiet ride. It's not an EV mode, and you can maybe hear the engine kick on a bit, but that hybrid powertrain is always gonna be a little bit quieter, a little bit nicer. One of the first things that struck me about driving this vehicle is the seating position. You really do feel like you sit up higher in this vehicle than you do in even other crossovers. I own the Volkswagen Atlas. That is my family vehicle. And even that thing, it feels like you sit lower in than you do in this thing, which is something I definitely appreciate. And my wife even noticed as she was sitting in the passenger seat, and she likes to be able to sit up high. And it could be the dash line being a little bit lower or the seats being a little bit taller, but it is a nice, comfortable position. And it's nice to be, like I said, up high. It is an extremely comfortable drive. We definitely took some longer trips in this thing, and it was easy, phenomenal to drive, very comfortable seats, comfortable seating position, and all the safety features help out with that. And like I said, that lane keep assist was really great. That radar guided cruise control, really great, especially when you're taking this thing out for longer trips. It's just that peace of mind of keeping you in your lane, keeping you a certain amount of distance between the person in front of you. It's cool in other vehicles, but it's really great to have in a family vehicle when you're taking the family out on trips. Fuel economy in this thing is rated at 35 miles per gallon city, 36 highway. During our full week, we've averaged 32.8 miles to the gallon, which includes a little bit of idling as we're taking pictures or video and maybe pushing it a little bit. And the fact that this thing has the hybrid powertrain standard is still just something that blows me away. You do have those drive modes in this vehicle. You have a normal mode, an eco mode, and a sport mode. I basically never put this thing into sport mode except for just 1 or 2 times testing it out. It does give it a little bit more pickup, and if you want to be sporty in your minivan, this can do it. But for everyday driving, the normal mode is fine. If you need to eke out that extra little miles per gallon, the eco mode is going to help you out there. But I definitely don't think it's something that you need in this vehicle. And that's coming from somebody that loves to go fast in pretty much everything. All right, but with that, I think it's time to pull this thing back over. Let's talk about the price of this vehicle, some of the competition out there in the minivan segment or in the crossover segment, and then we'll wrap up the video with our final thoughts, but let's go. All right, so let's really quickly talk about the price of the Sienna, and then we'll talk a little bit about the competition out there. Starting off with the base price of the base LE, it starts at $34,460, and that's a really good base price, but obviously you're going to be missing out on a lot of the conveniences that you see here in this one. With that, the Platinum has a base price of $49,900. And again, this is a new trim for 2021. It is the top of the line premium trim, but even our vehicle here has a premium on top of that. It is just over $54,000, which for a big family vehicle with this much room, this much comfort, and this much tech isn't that huge of an ask. But for somebody that has a large enough family to fit in here, I can definitely tell you that that is a pretty large MSRP for somebody with a large family, especially when you can get a larger SUV with just as nice tech for around the same kind of money. But let's talk quickly about the competition here. We do have that Chrysler Pacifica, which I've mentioned a few times. It is all new as well and has a lot of great features. I really liked it when we drove it. You'll have to go check out that video if you're interested. This one compared to that one, I probably couldn't pick one over the other. I really do like the way that this one you sit a little bit higher up in, or at least it feels like it. The design looks a little bit nicer as it looks bigger than it actually is. But if you like the Chrysler over this Toyota, I wouldn't blame you for getting that. You also have the Honda Odyssey, which is a really great minivan and has been for a long time. I actually haven't driven one in years now, but the last one I drove obviously was really nice. And you have the Kia Sedona, which is actually just now getting replaced with the Kia Carnival. Now, I haven't driven the Sedona in a while either, but it hasn't been updated much recently, which is why they're coming out with this new Carnival. I haven't gotten my hands on one of those either. I would love to once it comes out. But last time I did drive the Sedona, it was one of my favorite minivans in the market for its price and tech that you get in it, and it had nice styling, so I'm really interested to see what this new one offers. Other than minivans, you can talk about different crossovers or SUVs, but really if you're looking at a minivan, you're looking at it because it gets better fuel economy and has a lot more space. The closest thing that I could say to this as far as space goes is what I own, the Volkswagen Atlas, or you could look at something like the Hyundai Palisade or Kia Telluride. All these are kind of based on minivan platforms but made as SUVs. It just depends on if you want the convenience that you get from getting a minivan, and again, fuel economy, and with this having that hybrid powertrain, this is a great vehicle for families. But let me give you some of my final thoughts on that. Let's jump back out and we'll wrap this video up there. So it's not necessarily the cheapest option out there, and I really do like this Platinum trim, although you can definitely get into something a lot lower and still be happy with this thing. I do think it's a good all-around minivan for families. Again, especially this Platinum option. There's a lot of great tech in it for families and stuff like that, but the major thing is the room inside, the comfort of driving it. The styling doesn't hurt either. I do like the styling, but if you are looking for a family vehicle, something to haul the family in, something that's going to be comfortable to drive, something that's going to save you money in fuel and have even more space than most crossovers, the minivan is a great place to look, and this is a great one to check out. Definitely recommend test driving it if you're in the market, and would encourage you to buy one if you like the test drive. With that, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button to let me know. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Sienna, about the new design, about the review. If you haven't already, be sure to go check out TXGARAGE.com. We've got a lot more written reviews there, as well as written event and news coverage. And with that, again, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.